All right, welcome back everyone to the Retro Chat podcast. Andy here. Joining me is my good long time close buddy friend, Gene Oakland, intro extraordinaire. It's Lee Tyers. Lee, welcome back, mate. How are you?
I'm good. I'm very, very excited. I love the new intro and I love the new layout and the new design and all the sort of logo and stuff up here is really cool. And yeah, I'm excited to be back. We've got lots of good stuff coming up. And you know, this week is going to be one of my favorites. Can't wait.
So we've already done some cracking shows together. You know, we did WrestleMania 6, we've done SummerSlam, but now we've done Mask, which is the highest rated show in Retro Chat history.
That's not because of me. That's because of the content.
You see, you could have just taken credit for that and said that's.
I could have. Yeah.
It's what you could have done, you know. But thank you for not.
Yeah.
And now we're gonna follow it up with Streethawk.
Yes, we are. Now, Streethawk was one of my favorites as a kid. If you were a fan of the old kind of 80s super vehicle type series, things like Knightrider, Airwolf, Blue Thunder, even the A-Team, things like that. You know, you would, if you haven't seen it, it was one of the minor ones, I guess, in the big scheme of things. It never really got the sort of credibility that some of the others did. But yeah, Streethawk, an amazing show, one of my favorites. Only lasted a season as well, which is gutting.
Less than a season, really, but we'll talk into that in a second.
Well, yeah.
Before we do that, let's give the contact details of how you can get in contact with us on social media. You can do it now by going to all of these down here. So you can Facebook, Instagram, or Twitch at Retro Chat Podcast. Thanks, Lee. You can tweet us at Retro Chat Pod, and you can visit the YouTube channel like you're doing right now, maybe, at Retro Chat Podcast UK, where not only do we have all of the show archives, we have short bites, not many of them, but we do have short bites. We have the Impact Wrestling press passes. We have the archive of Quiz Night Live. Thank you so much for that. We'll touch on that in a second. And also a brand new series where, please don't think that I've ripped this off from Ministry of Slam, because I blatantly have. But we're going to be playing PWR, which is Pro Wrestling Remastered, which is a simulator similar to TEW, but maybe a slightly more basic and a bit more easier to get into. So we're going to be doing a series booking AEW.
Nice, fantastic. Now I've not played. I played the original back in the day, but yeah, I've not played the remastered version, the new release. And as I understand it, it's a bit more straightforward. Some of the only criticism about Total Extreme Wrestling is that it's a little bit too complex, and you best laid plans, and then you forget to do just one little thing out of the 200 that you're supposed to do, and an entire angle is ruined. And what do you do from there? But
it's a lot more basic, which I quite like.
Yeah.
I think it's got something like 30 different match types in there. So it's got like the singles, the tags, all that type of thing, intergender matches.
Wow.
And when you go to the end of the show, you can actually do results, and it will run you through a play-by-play of the finish of each of the matches.
Oh, brilliant. That's cool.
Quite cool.
You don't even get that with Total Extreme Wrestling. So
no,
that's
I mean,
much better.
It's a different interface. It's very old school, kind of like Windows 95 style layout type thing. So it's not as polished, if you will, as TEW. But if you like the old arcade Championship Manager simulators, it's very similar to that.
Yeah.
So free to download as well of pwremastered.com.
Wow. So there we go. So check it out.
Yeah.
Check it out. Sounds good.
You each and every week, my friend, are kicking ass with Ministry of Slam.
Trying our best, yes. Every single Sunday, we are live at 7 p.m. UK time over at twitch.tv/the MOS network. And you can listen to me and Lawrence talk about what's happening in this world of wrestling. We talk about cats, movies, what we've had to eat, pretty much everything else. It's not your straightforward wrestling show that is a little bit quirky and weird and wonderful. And we're over there every Sunday at 7. You can find us, and appreciate it if you haven't checked it out to drop by.
Now, if you want to drop by, you can do by going to I can't do it. You need to do it.
There you go.
You need to go to Sundays at 7 p.m. GMT, twitch.tv/the MOS network, where you can watch the guys live, or you can check them out on podcast at all the main podcast providers: Spotify, Apple, Google, you name it, Pandora, iHeart Podcast, whatever. And while you're there, leave them a review. Leave them a 5-star review. Let them know what you like. Yeah. And while you're doing that, leave me one as well.
Absolutely,
Please.
yeah. Because I mean, this is great stuff, and you're starting to build up a heck of a back catalogue here. And what I think, if you're on like one of those really long drives, like if you're going from like the south coast of the UK all the way up to like Manchester or even further afield than that, you've got like a 5-6 hour trip ahead of you. Download a load of those podcasts and cram them and have a whole retro trip of it. It'd be really good. It's really diverse topics. It's not your sort of generic stuff that you'd expect from sort of like your 80s and 90s podcasts. There's stuff that you touch on that isn't really touched on in other shows, so it's good.
Oh, thanks, man. I'll give you the $5 later.
So, I'm just writing the invoice out now.
Yeah, all right. retrochatpodcast@gmail.com. I know someone who actually went on holiday and they went for a trip across the UK and they were listening to the show to try and catch up on the archives.
Wow, that's amazing. That is amazing.
It's also, I missed a week after Quiz Night Live, so I released last week 3 shows.
Wow. Crazy. And the beauty of it is, something like Ministry of Islam is very time sensitive. If you don't listen to it within the week, it's pretty much out of date, and there's it's difficult to listen to it again. But the beauty with Retro Chat is you could be listening to it in 10 years and it's still something that was amazing back in the 80s or whatever, and something that is still very relevant. So really good.
Yeah, and it's great having guys like you on
thank you
to come and do the show.
Love fest.
It really is. I had someone message me the other day who used to listen to us back on Ministry, and on TSC. They kind of followed us all the way through, and they went after like 10 years away. It's like we haven't missed a trick.
Well, it feels like that sometimes, doesn't it? It's I'm more than happy with that. It's I'd be quite surprised that is how it is after all that time, but it just works. So let's roll with it.
That's it. Let's go. And the fact is, I've got to produce it now, which is shit. Because I'm not very good at producing.
And for other reasons, I'm now starting to learn StreamYard. So hopefully this, I'm picking up tips from you this time,
Oh, God.
What with your layouts and your transitions and all that kind of stuff. I've never used it before, so there's going to be some recording dummy versions of shows and things and seeing how that works. So it should be interesting.
I can't wait to see what you're doing, so that'll be fantastic. Now, before we move on to Streethawk, mate, I want to thank you massively for your part in Quiz Night Live, in supporting the show, coming on for the last part of the bit, doing the Halloween round and doing the answers as well. When we last spoke, we were on £140. We have now raised over £160 for Julia's house. Still available. You can still watch it on the archive. You can still donate if you want to. But massive thank you to everybody who donated. I had an email from Julia's house last week saying how much that money is going to make an impact to what they do. So no, I really appreciate
that's amazing. No problem at all. You're very, very welcome. And again, if you I think we said at the time, you can always Christmas, you're at home with the family, play the quiz, stick it up on YouTube or wherever you can find it on the Retro Chat feed, and you can play it at home. Maybe the link is won't be valid there for the donations, but who's to say you don't just sling 20 quid over to Julia's house anyway, just to support those guys. And it's a great quiz. You can, it's Halloween themed, one of the rounds, but why not? Everyone's Christmased out by like 4 o'clock on Christmas Day. You don't want to watch Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom again, so why not do the quiz? It'll be awesome.
But Halloween happens every year.
It does.
So you're just getting yourself ready for next year. But what you could do now, this is a trick. I learned this. What you could do is do your quiz yourself a few times so you know the answers.
Yeah.
Right. Then challenge your family and put some money in.
Wow, that's a good way to do it, isn't it? Absolutely. Yeah.
Walk away Christmas Day with like £100 pot.
Yeah.
And then show the family how clever you are because you know the answers. Not that I cheat.
Definitely not. And then you can disappear out to the Boxing Day sales, leave everyone else indoors to do the tidying up and get rid of all the wrapping paper and all of that, and you can go out shopping.
Go to the
Perfect.
Pub.
Yeah.
Go to the pub. Anyway.
All you need. Right,
let's get on with
Christmas.
Not that far away, because I think you and I are getting back together again for some Christmas shows.
I think we are. Yes, we have. We have, and prepared for that as well.
Yes. No. We just need to set a date to record them, but we'll talk about that later.
We will organize that, absolutely.
So today, Streethawk, as Lee said at the top of the show, if you're a fan of Knightrider, if you're a fan of Streethawk, Airwolf, if you're a fan of the A-Team, Blue Thunder, you would love this show. And really, I think one of the most underrated shows in the history of television, because it deserved more recognition than what it got.
Absolutely. I mean, I think if some of the other shows like your Knightrider, like Airwolf, hadn't have been around, this would have been one of the iconic 80s. You know, it would have gone for like 4 or 5 seasons. You know, similar to Knightrider, it'd have had that enduring legacy. But because I think it came along a little bit later, you know, it was a great show, but a lot of people were like, another one of these magic vehicle shows. It's all right, but I'm getting a bit bored with it now. And it kind of hit at the wrong time, just a little bit late. But I'll be perfectly honest, and I'm going to get hate from the Knightrider and Airwolf lovers. This was my favorite 80s vehicle themed show by far. Loved it.
Why? I mean, that is a huge statement to make, because you know, obviously Knightrider is beloved because of Kit, not David Hasselhoff, although David Hasselhoff is a legend. Airwolf was the helicopter, and Ernest Borgnine. And Jan Michael Vincent. Why Streethawk? Why was that your favorite?
I think because you know, the old adage of always leave you wanting more. You had Knightrider. It was great the first couple of seasons. Then the cast changed a little bit, and then they had the season with the Super Pursuit mode, and it wasn't quite as good as it was before. Same with Airwolf. They had the dodgy third season where they reused all of the footage, and you know, they brought in what was it, Barry Van Dyke?
That was the
fourth season, sorry. And it's sort of like these shows sort of like almost whimpered off into the sunset. They didn't go out on a bang. Whereas Streethawk, you had these episodes. They were amazing. It was a bike, which was a bit different, and you know, that was always really cool for me. And the fact that I think with Airwolf and Knightrider, you know, you knew you open the door of Kit, Michael Knight gets out. You open the door of Airwolf, he takes his helmet off. It's Stringfellow Hawk. But there was the whole intrigue of, you know, he was Streethawk. He wasn't Jesse Mack. When he was out, no one knew who Streethawk was, and there was kind of that secret thing. So it was a bit like almost like Spider-Man, you know, and no one knew as Peter Parker. You kind of had that whole mystique about it, as well as it being an awesome bike, which looks super cool, and they had the cool theme tune as well. We'll probably get onto that in a minute.
We will touch on that in a minute, but let's give you some stats first of all about Streethawk, because it premiered in 1985 as part of NBC, which also, as we've talked about, did Knightrider and Airwolf, and it only ran for 14 episodes. So when we said earlier on, less than a season, because normally a season is about 20 to 24 episodes. Yeah, this ended and just stopped. And of course, it was headlined by Rex Smith, who since Streethawk has gone on for, you know, sensational success in Broadway and in various other TV shows and theatre shows, but also known for the appearance of one Commander Chakotay from the Bridge of the Voyager, Robert Beltran.
Yeah, Robert Beltran was in the very, very first, the pilot episode of Streethawk, as Marty Walsh, Jesse's best friend back in the day. And it was when I first started watching Star Trek Voyager, I was like, I know that guy from somewhere. I know that guy. And then it was only when I went back and watched Streethawk again, I was like, oh my God, it's Chakotay. That's where I knew him from. And you know, not the only famous face that appeared in episodes of Streethawk.
No, we'll go through some of that in a minute.
We will,
if you're Star Trek fans, there are some major Star Trek alumni that have appeared. Some, you know, so a Gull has appeared in the show. You know, somebody else who I've interviewed, Daphne Ashbrook, who's crazy, appeared in the show as well. But the bike you were talking about was the Honda. Let me just find out what it was. The Honda XL 500 trail bike.
Yeah,
that was released in 1983.
Yeah,
and it was just such a super cool bike, wasn't it? It looked amazing.
It was. And now there were, again, I know a little bit of trivia. I've looked into it over the years, and there were several different versions of the bike made. I mean, they made sort of custom bikes for the original TV pilot, the hour and a half long, you know, original episode. But then they streamlined the bike a little bit in some of the later series and sort of changed the design a little bit. The nose changed a little bit, but they also had different bikes for different kind of different activities. You had the same body kit on slightly different bikes. There was a road version. There was one that was almost like a scrambling bike that was used for some of the jumps and things that was quite lightweight. They really put a lot of stuff into it. And a guy called Andrew Prober, I think, who was very much involved in Star Trek, he did the initial designs of the bike, and you can see that there is a Facebook page that I've followed for many years to do with Streethawk. And interacts on there, and you see some of the original designs for the bike and all that kind of stuff. It's really, really good. There's lots of stuff out there.
Without dropping a plug, is that the Streethawk Command Center?
It is, yes, absolutely.
Yes.
So check that out. There's a lot of people over there, a lot of cool people, and regular. It's not just one of those groups that's died. There's always people talking about the episodes and getting involved. And Rex Smith is really involved as well. He realizes the value of Streethawk to his career.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that because 14 episodes, less than one season. Not mid 80s, it's now 2021, 2022 nearly. Why is it regained this cult status? Why is it so popular? Because really, in the grand scheme of things, it's just dead.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I think it is all of that. It's one of those things. It was never as iconic as Knightrider, as we said. And I think it's one of those things, everyone's done it. Everyone's sat in an office or at work or wherever you are in your workplace. Like, oh, TV was great in the 80s, wasn't it? It was fantastic. Do you remember that? Do you remember the A-Team? That was really cool. Yeah. Do you remember the one with the helicopter? Oh, yeah, Airwolf. No. The other one. Oh, Knightrider. Yeah. No. Blue Thunder. That was it. Yeah, that was the other helicopter one. Wasn't there one with a bike or something? And it's kind of always that one thing. Is there? No, I don't think there was. No, definitely was. I definitely saw one with a bike. And then it's almost got that kind of cult status because it was a very short run and it didn't end with a bang, but it didn't sort of peter away. They were right in the middle of, it was really kind of had a really good following and then just disappeared, which was a real shame. So I think I definitely bring it down to that always wanting more. There are always people saying, they've done the Knightrider reboots a couple of times with the movies and different versions of it. Not so much with things like Airwolf and Blue Thunder, but another one that people want these reboot things from the 80s, these properties. And I think that's another one that people, they never got the ultimate payoff as to what happens at the end of the Streethawk story. And people, I think, well, that's ideal property to kind of do a reboot or a follow-up or what have you. And that's quite a big thing.
I must admit, I'm really surprised in this day and age where they reboot everything. Magnum PI got rebooted, Hawaii 5.0 got rebooted, and actually got more of a following than what they had back in the 70s, 80s. The fact it hasn't had a reboot now, because that's a property that's easy to pick up and just run with.
Absolutely, and so much story. I mean, the producers of the show must have had. You don't just make stories up on the go. There must have been plots for, several episodes, a couple of seasons worth of plot lines that they could easily bring into sort of present day or something like that. And I know, again, Rex Smith, if you look him up online, he has been very active in wanting to do a reboot or a sequel or a continuation of Streethawk, and he's put out petitions and all this sort of stuff. So if you follow him online, he's got online petitions, and I've certainly signed them. Check him out on Twitter. I don't know what his handle is. Maybe I'll find that a little bit later on. Again, he is very much up for it. I think he's done his stage stuff. He's done his music. He was Daredevil in the original TV show version of Daredevil. He played Matt Murdock with the Lou Ferrigno Hulk and Thor and Captain America, those really bad mid-80s ones. He was Daredevil, which is phenomenal. So one of the original Matt Murdocks there. But he is very, very much on board that this role, it didn't even last a full season, he is most remembered for. He's really, really happy with that.
So if you'd like to follow Rex Smith on Twitter, you can do. All you need to do is head over. It's a really great handle here at Real Rex Smith.
There you go. So there's no fake Rex Smiths out there. So
no, it's real, legit. He's got the blue tick and everything.
There you go.
And in his narrative, where this big thing about the one line: teen idol, pirate, Streethawk, Daredevil, new grandfather.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah. Brilliant stuff.
There you go. See, now, what? Sorry, just before you go, what was I going to say? What really surprises me, the fact that they were all NBC properties, like Knightrider, Airwolf, and Streethawk, and the A-Team to a degree, that they haven't got together and done one massive crossover reboot. Because could you imagine, some car and some of the bad guys from those series getting together and doing something, or a big bad, and having an Avengers style crossover, but with all of the technology.
Yeah,
Rebooted.
that would be phenomenal. Yeah.
Oh.
And then if that did really well, of course, you could then start off the individual TV shows on each of them afterwards. That would be really, really good. And you could imagine, I mean, someone working for that company at the time must have, first of all, they come up with Knightrider. So it's a car, it's bulletproof, it does all these cool things, it jumps and it shoots things and all the rest of it. Brilliant, let's make a series. That does well for a little while. Got another great idea. Knightrider, but it's a helicopter. Brilliant. Yeah, make it. Yeah, make a few series of that. Got another great idea. Knightrider and Airwolf, but it's a motorbike. Brilliant. Make it. And like you could see how it started to get old by the time it got to Streethawk. Even though we loved it, you could tell what the public were probably getting a little bit bored at that point.
You know what the next show would have been, don't you?
Speedboat? Thunder in Paradise.
Oh yeah. Oh, I should do that. We should do Thunder in Paradise. No,
that would be great.
Farm
means
tractor.
we have to watch it. Farm tractor, bulletproof farm tractor that could fly. Nothing wrong with that.
It drives down the road. It's super powered, queuing up the traffic for about 6 miles an hour. But farm tractor. That could have worked.
It could have. It could have. I'd watch it.
It's called Jeremy Clarkson on the Farm on Amazon Prime. You know?
Yeah, very good series. Check it out.
It is very good series actually, and Hammond's Workshop is even better on Discovery Plus.
Haven't watched that. Okay,
you want to watch that? That's
I'll be watching
good.
what I'm watching as soon as I'm finished here. Excellent.
See?
Thank you for that.
I will go back and watch Streethawk.
Now, Andy, what I want to do before we go too much further, now, this show had an amazing intro.
Okay.
Now, it was, we'll talk about the actual music that was used shortly afterwards. However, it was one of those things that in the 80s, these kind of shows had their like little narration to begin the show. So I'm gonna start it off by saying, this is Jesse Mark, an ex-motorcycle cop injured in the line of duty, now a police troubleshooter. He's been recruited to a top-secret government mission to ride Streethawk, an all-terrain attack motorcycle designed to fight urban crime. Capable of incredible speeds of up to 300 miles an hour and immense firepower. Only one man, Federal Agent Norman Tuttle, knows Jesse Mock's true identity. The man, the machine, Streethawk. Memorize that from a child.
do you know what? One of the challenges I was going to give you tonight was to do.
Oh, wow. Intro. Okay.
And
well,
you've just done that without even reading it. That is word for word spot on.
I mean, I used to record them all off of ITV, and I had a long videos of just back-to-back Streethawk episodes back in the day.
Do you want to know something? I never saw it until early 2000s.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. I never saw it. I mean, I always remember Saturday afternoons on ITV with like The Fall Guy, then Gladiators, WCW Worldwide, Nitro, and Baywatch. Yeah, that's like the Saturday lineup. But I never saw Streethawk until like the early 2000s, and it's only because you gave me a copy of it.
Yeah. And I don't think they ever really, a lot of them were. A lot of these shows they have done reruns of them. They've Airwolf you can find in random places. Streethawk is very, very difficult to find. They released them on DVD once, I think. Yes. And trying to get hold of those those original versions of the show is very, very, very difficult.
So it was released. There were two official releases of the Streethawk pilot movie on VHS. One was from a company called MCA Canada, and it carried the full 90-minute pilot, which was 70 minutes or so without the commercials. The other was from the same company, but it was a US MCA release, and that ran for 60 minutes. And there are short bits of footage that are unique to each release. So the US version is shorter. It includes a line or two of dialogue that wasn't present in the Canadian one.
Yeah.
A blue lightning style primary weapon was included in the Canadian version.
Yes.
The red laser beam appeared in the US. And then on July the 13th, 2010, Shout Factory released Streethawk The Complete Series, which was four DVD box set featuring all 13 episodes and a 41-minute documentary titled The Making of the Legend.
Which is amazing.
Is it good?
It is really good. And right at the end, I mean, spoiler alert here, but it ends with Rex Smith on the end. Yeah. Could we bring it back? Yeah, I think we could bring it back. I mean, it's now obviously like 11 years afterwards, and it's still not back. But you could tell they were throwing the carrot out there just to see what interest there was. But no,
So,
really, really great documentary.
did you buy the box set of DVDs?
I did buy the box set of DVDs. They're in a box somewhere now because I haven't got my DVDs out anymore. Everything's digital and on demand and streaming these days. But I have still got them. So yeah,
It's such a shame that Streethawk's not on a streaming service. You want to get them,
Oh.
rip them, and have them on digital so you can show your son. I mean,
yes, absolutely. I should do that. Definitely do that.
They'll most likely ask what a DVD is these days.
Yes,
but,
yeah, not very popular these days.
I'm just looking on eBay while we're talking because I want to see how much because they're going to go for right now.
Okay,
so you can buy the complete series of Streethawk now for £22.40.
There we go. That's not bad, is it? And is that
Not
brand
bad,
new as well?
Yeah, that's brand new.
Brand new,
Yeah.
nice. So, I mean, again, I'm wondering if that's down to its lack of popularity because, there are a lot made and people weren't that interested in it. So you can get it for almost stock price as it was back in the day or what. But, some of the DVDs, the sort of cult 80s properties, you have to pay quite a lot of money to get original versions of.
Yeah.
So yeah, interesting.
I have just purchased Streethawk the movie on DVD.
Nice. Yeah. Okay, so that is the original pilot, and this is the book based off of the pilot. So it's almost like the screenplay, as it were. I mean, it is a proper book, and
Wow.
there's some little scenes and sort of interactions with characters that obviously aren't in the. This story was based from the screenplay, and then when they filmed it, obviously little bits and pieces were chopped out. So there's one or two little tidbits in there that not in the original book. And shall I do my trivia thing of what I was doing during lockdown?
Yes.
Okay, so I started watching. Yeah, everyone was sat at home. I was furloughed for 8 months and sat at home, trying to work out things to do and try and occupy my time. Played every game on the Xbox that ever existed, and that got a bit bored with that. And then started watching old retro TV shows, and one of them that I watched again was Streethawk. Started really getting into it, wondering, what sort of merchandise I could get if there was anything out there, and found this book. And I thought, it's great to have a book, but it is quite old. If you can see the color on there, it's a little bit yellowed, and this was produced back in it was £1.95 in the UK. This was actually made in 1985. Also got the follow up as well. We'll talk about that in a minute. But I thought, I wonder if it's available as an ebook version. So, because I've got a Kindle and, I like to read stuff on the Kindle, and you can take like hundreds of books with you with just a tiny little device. And there wasn't, you couldn't get one. So I spent many days I got some software that would pick up a scanned copy of a book and pick up the text and sort of transcribe it into a document. So I have officially created the ebook of the Streethawk novel. I converted it into Mobi format for the Kindle, and also EPUB versions for any Apple devices out there. And I can't obviously sell them or anything like that, but they are, I've released them to the Facebook group out there. And yeah, I mean, if anyone wants that, let me or Andy know. Here's my Twitter handle down the bottom there. Just drop me a message and I'll be more than happy to send them over. Again, no profit from me, but it's just there because I'm a fan.
You gave me a copy of it, and I read it after we met up for dinner, didn't we? And then
yes, we did.
You sent me a copy of it.
Yeah,
and I read it, and it was just like reading the proper book. The proper book. I didn't see any mistakes in it or anything. It was fantastic. It was really good time doing that.
So it took me a couple of weeks to sort of get to the bottom of it and edit it, make sure the spacing was all right, get out, because some of the printing in here, there are some like little ink splodges and things like that, because it wasn't sort of digitally printed. It was printed off of a printing press. So you do get a little bit, splodges every so often that a scanner can't pick up, and it wonders what the word is. So I had to go through and read it a couple of times.
It's still nice having the old books though, isn't it? I mean, I'm like you, I've got the Kindle, but to have the book and just being able to flip through the pages and realizing it's like 1985 that was made. I was 4.
Yeah, I know. I was older.
Not much.
no, only a few years older, but yes, I was older. So that was the original book, and based off of the original pilot. And then you've got this second one. I think there were 4 in the end. I've only managed to get hold of the first 2 for now. And this was based off of these another 2 episodes, I think. I can't remember what they were.
So I can tell you that.
The episode The Adjuster and the episode The Unsinkable 453. And
Yes.
they kind of blend them into one story, almost as if one ends and then they go back to the base and then this other one starts. And so it's a really interesting there. There we go.
So the third book is called Golden Eyes.
Yeah.
And that's by Charles Gale, and that's adapted from the episodes Follow the Yellow Gold Road and Dog Eat Dog. And the last one is called Danger on Target, and that's adapted from Model is a Novel Idea and Hot Target, which was...
Hot Target is my favorite episode.
Episode number 10 of the series.
Yeah. Hot Target is my favorite one. It's where they've got microlights flying around and blowing up. It was all about insurance claims and this guy blowing up his own property so he could get the insurance from it, and Streethawk having to get to the bottom of it. Really, really good episode. My favorite.
But they made no sort of logic in terms of the episodes that they were actually doing, because I think one of the books was episode 3, then it was episode 10, and the other one was like episode 12, and making it up. But oh mate,
very good.
I've just seen on a website called World of Books, you can get Streethawk 3 and Streethawk 4.
Wow. Okay, I might need to look into that. Need to have the collection. Got to have the collection.
Well, you're a collector. You're an aficionado. That you've got to do it. Now, did you know? I'm going to give you some trivia here. Did you know that one of the most well-received countries was India?
I didn't know that.
It was a success among adolescent males, and it spawned the introduction of an MTB-style bicycle named Street Cat, and it was aimed at that segment. But yeah, it was one of the top-rated shows in India.
I did not know that. Wow.
Yes.
Street Cat versus Streethawk. That's what we need. Forget Kit versus Car. We need Streethawk versus Street Cat.
See, that would have been a winner, wouldn't it? There's your reboot right there. You know. I'm glad I know something that you don't about Streethawk.
Yeah, I had no idea about that.
Wikipedia is a goldmine.
Yes, I imagine it is.
Now, when we talked about Mask, you obviously talked about a lot of the toys that you had. Now, Streethawk also had some toys as well. Did you have any of those?
I had 2 Streethawk toys. One of them was do you remember those little bikes that you'd get, and they had like a ripcord and you yanked it out and it made the wheel spin really quick, and then you put it on the ground and it would skid off? I had one of those. And then I had another bike that was quite chunky, and I believe it had a sort of windy thing on it, and you just put that on the ground and off it went. It didn't really. It had the Streethawk. It looked like Streethawk, and it had the same coloring and everything, but it was really chunky. Otherwise, it would have fallen over quite a lot. And I think the little bike that I had was branded Moto Laser, but it was Streethawk.
The toys that just kind of have a very, far-reaching link to the show. But the toys in the UK were released by Ertl, who I don't know if you know, but they used to do the Star Trek models.
Oh, okay, yeah, I remember.
So, not the kits, but the actual models. So there's a lot of Star Trek link in Streethawk.
It's weird, isn't it? Really weird.
Robert
I
Beltran.
didn't put that together.
One of the other Trek characters that was in here, we mentioned it earlier on about a gull, was Gull the Cat. Mark Alamo appeared in episode 13.
Wow. I mean, unbelievable. And it was that kind of era, stuff like the A-Team and Airwolf, where they sort of had a villain of the week. You would find some of these actors sort of cutting their teeth in some of these little bit parts in some of these episodes. Really, really interesting to see that crossover.
Now, the one person I didn't know who was in Streethawk until I watched it was Doc Emmett Brown himself, Christopher Lloyd.
Was. Yeah, Anthony Corrido, who was the main bad guy in the very first episode. Yeah, and I mean, if you think, I think he must have filmed this. Well, I mean, similar sort of time to Back to the Future. Clearly, Back to the Future set in '85 and filmed just before that, and then Streethawk came out in '85. So it must have been very, very similar, almost back-to-back projects, I'd imagine, for Christopher Lloyd.
Back to Back to the Future.
Yeah,
yeah. Funny how he's dealing with a car and a bike. But yeah, I mean, Christopher Lloyd at that point had really just come off Taxi. So,
Yes.
Star was quite bright. So for a show like Streethawk, in a pilot episode,
Mm.
to get someone as established as Christopher Lloyd,
Yeah.
coming off one of the most, one of the highest rated comedy series of only a few years earlier, that's quite a coup. So it must have
Absolutely.
shown that they had some sort of plan or investment in the product itself to actually go out and do that. So it'd be really interesting. I would love to sit down with an executive of the studio and just say, why? What was the reason behind it?
Yeah, absolutely. No
Did the
reason why
bubble
it shouldn't have. I mean, I think that's essentially it. I think they had literally done the magic vehicle to death at this point, and potentially wasn't received as well as they were hoping, even though it was a good quality series. The other person, of course, who played a role in one of the episodes, very, very surprisingly so, was George Clooney. Was in an episode.
Lee?
Oh
episode?
God, I can tell you that exactly what happens from blow to blow. Was it called Blood Brothers or something?
Oh, hang on.
No. Okay, what was it called?
It was called The Second Self.
Yes, that's it. Yeah. So it was Jesse's old, almost high school kind of friend came to meet him, and they were best friends in real life. And then the guy's actually he's involved in some shady stuff, and Streethawk ends up having to try and rein him in because he's a bad guy, but he doesn't want to because it's his friend, but he's got to because he's Streethawk, and he's supposed to be getting the bad guys. And not the greatest acting from George Clooney. Certainly needed a few more years to develop at that stage, but it's really weird to see him in something like that.
Episode 2.
Episode episode 2?
That was episode 2. Yeah. So they literally did episode 1 with Christopher Lloyd and straight into episode 2 with George Clooney, who would go on to play the Bat.
Yes, Batman, and I think really shot to fame in From Dusk Till Dawn in the in sort of very late 90s, early 2000s. And he was really mainstream for a little while there, wasn't he? George Clooney. He's kind of died off a little bit now, but one of the Batmen. That's yes, he has. But really interesting to see him in there.
It was ER as well that really kind of swung the prime.
Of course,
now, looking at this, what really is interesting is if you look at the production of the shows, the majority of the episodes were actually directed by 2 of the same people. So you had Virgil Vogel, love that name, and Harvey Laidman, who between them directed the majority of the episodes. Virgil doing 80% and Harvey doing 20. The good thing about that is, when you're watching a series, they get to know the characters, so they get to know how it's, and you get that feel. So it's interesting when you see a show with the same director all the way through.
I mean, and again, the development of the Jesse character, and for those who haven't seen Streethawk before and who will go away and watch it after watching or listening to this. So Jesse is a motorcycle cop. He gets mowed down by someone when he's on his bike, basically who the big bad guy was. His friend gets killed. That was Robert Beltran. And he then ends up Jesse has got a broken leg and needs knee reconstruction and all this kind of stuff. So the police say, you can't be a motorcycle cop anymore, you're going to be in public relations, still working for the police force, but we don't want you out on the road, you're not good enough for it. So he's not happy, but he settles with his day job. Then you've got Norman, who is the government agent who offers him some reconstructive groundbreaking surgery to fix his knee. Don't tell anyone about it, but we're going to fix your knee as long as you agree to ride this, amazing new bike that we've created. It's a secret branch of the government. Sticks him on this bike, and so by night he's out being Streethawk, and then by day he's the mild-mannered, again very Superman and Spider-Man like. He's working for the police, and everyone thinks his knee's knackered, so no one thinks he's Streethawk, and he's got to pretend just to be this ordinary guy. And again, very Superman and Spider-Man-esque. Whenever there's danger, he disappears off out of the office, and everyone's like, "Where did he go? Where did he go?" And then the next scene, of course, you see Streethawk.
That's not dodgy, is it, or anything? We'll repair your knee, but you can't tell anyone.
Yeah, exactly. And they do have some friction. Norman, of course, is employed by the government. They've got specific things that they want Streethawk to do. Jesse is a little bit of a wild cannon at some points and doesn't necessarily want to do whatever Norman says, and he goes off and does his own thing. So yeah, that kind of chemistry really works well. And again, the development of those characters, even in the few short episodes that we got, you could see, the evolution of the characters, and really, really interesting. Again, just so gutted it didn't last any longer.
So in professional wrestling, mate, we often talk about fantasy booking. What would happen if we book this match or we book this card?
Yeah.
So if we took that to Streethawk, how would you book a reboot? What would you do?
You'd have Jesse being spoken to. Jesse works at a garage or something, working on old motorbikes. He's quit the police force. The Streethawk project got shut down by the government due to lack of funding or something years ago. Jesse's really bitter about it. You get some new hotshot government agent come in and say, used to be Streethawk, didn't you? And no, that wasn't me. And that kind of pursuit, trying to get the information out of him. When he eventually admits it, right, we want to start the project again. We want you involved. He's like, no, I'm too old. I can't do it. And then Jesse is the one who starts going out and tries to find a motorcycle cop with a similar sort of caliber to him, and they maybe create. I'd want the bike to look pretty much exactly the same, but maybe some new technology added onto it than we had before. But yeah, Jesse is sort of like the old mentor, and you get a new guy come in, maybe his son or something like that. Or is that a bit too cliche? Just someone else to come in and, similar to what they did with the 2008 Knightrider.
There you go, Peacock.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's rebooted it for you.
Made.
Done. There you go. Sorted. Send the check to Lee.
Definitely.
That would be awesome, wouldn't it?
Would love it. And with some of the special effects and stuff you've got now, I mean, it does look at points, as do all of those 80s vehicle things, can look a bit dated with some of the effects they've used. The CGI and things you've got now, and the effects and digital technology, you could really make it look awesome on, not a small budget, but it wouldn't be difficult to make it look amazing.
Absolutely, mate. I have really enjoyed talking Streethawk with you. There's so much more, I think. Ideal word we could talk about. Now, I did approach Rex Smith about coming onto the show. Still waiting to hear back. So, Rex, if you do listen to this, please come on, because I think both Lee and myself would love to sit down with you and talk to you about.
We want to do a part 2.
Yes.
Rex Smith, Joe Regalbuto, Richard Venture, even Robert Beltran. Let's get him on to talk about some Streethawk. I bet he's inundated with people wanting to talk about Star Trek, which would be awesome. But how many people want to talk to him about Streethawk?
Christopher Lloyd. If you're
Christopher Lloyd,
talk to us about Streethawk and maybe Back to the Future as well. But
everyone wants him to dress up as Emmett Brown. No. We want you to dress as Anthony Corrido, the drug baron from the first episode of Streethawk. Talk to us about that.
I don't know what I'm going to do.
Now, one thing we haven't touched on was the theme tune.
Oh, yes. The theme.
We haven't done the theme tune. So the theme tune was done by an artist called Tangerine Dream, sort of 80s synth kind of artist. And the original tune was called La Park. You can get it on, in fact, if you go on to Spotify, I'm just going to do some very quick sort of in show production here. Andy, Phil.
Who's Phil? I don't know who Phil is. If you go onto Spotify, I'm assuming you can find it. Now, what we will do is in the narrative is we'll put a link to the song on Spotify so that you can click and listen to it.
Why not? Absolutely. So there is a version of it. And I'm going to show it on camera now. There's an artist called Kabu, who is a very, very similar to Tangerine Dream, but sort of modern version. And you can see on the screen there sort of lots of keyboards and synths and all that sort of stuff. And he's done a version of it, and it's almost recorded, he's recorded live from a show he did. And so it's the original song, but just sort of not jazzed up, but just his own version and interpretation of it. So, absolutely fantastic. I don't want to get your copyright taken down.
No, please don't. Please don't. I have enough problems with YouTube with that. Do you know what we should do? We should approach a female guitarist that we know.
Oh, yeah. To do a version.
Ask her to do a cover.
That would be good. That would be amazing. Yeah. Could you imagine that?
That would be fantastic. I think Meryl would do an amazing job at that. Yeah, I think I agree.
I agree.
I think you need to do that. I can do that. I think you need to get that sorted.
I
And
will
then-
approach the relevant people and see if I can make it happen. Sounds good.
Lee,
Sounds good.
it has been amazing catching up with you again to talk Streethawk. We do still have a lot of shows where you and I are going to be sitting down talking about things. But it is finding the time to do them. We are going to be touching on the reboot Knightrider
I can't wait for that.
2008
That's another one.
series. I know, that's going to be amazing. One of my favorite series. Didn't give it a chance. We're also going to be touching on Back to the Future at some point.
Yep.
You and I are going to be getting together. You and I are going to be getting together to talk Back to the Future, the musical, because obviously I see that in a couple of weeks. And who knows? There may be something for you. And then we've got some Christmas episodes to knock out, which one of them is a Christmas Vacation.
Yes, it is a Christmas Vacation. And again, one of my favorite films of all time. Not just Christmas films, but one of my favorite films of all time. Again, could probably quote the movie. So yeah, that's going to be great.
So we're going to be doing that over the next couple of weeks. So over Christmas, there are going to be 9 Christmas episodes.
Wow.
It's going to go on average 2 a week.
Flipping heck. I mean, that's gonna, if you're the sort of person at Christmas who has all the relatives over and you don't want to spend any time with them because they're doing your head in, then just stick your headphones in and just stockpile the retro chat episodes. Just listen to all the Christmas episodes one after the other. That's what you need to do.
Yeah, I think we're doing Die Hard, Batman Returns. That is a Christmas film.
I'm not sure about Batman Returns. Definitely Die Hard. I'm not sure about Batman Returns.
We're doing He-Man and She-Ra, the Christmas special.
Didn't even know that existed.
What?
Didn't know that existed. I knew Secret of the Sword, but I didn't know there was another Christmas crossover.
You what?
Didn't know. Sorry, haven't seen it.
They go to Earth.
Do they?
Yeah. Orko travels back
this
in time, and they meet 2 little kids, and they have a Christmas tree. And Skeletor's nice.
And He-Man's still walking around in his pants.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's not the sort of Christmas present that I want.
But She-Ra's in it.
Oh, there you go. Okay, fine.
The old She-Ra, not this new
not the
DreamWorks.
I don't like
get that at all.
Not a fan.
What else are we doing? We're doing Blackadder's Christmas Carol. We're doing some modern day stuff.
Oh, interesting.
I'm going to go to Disney Plus and we're going to look at Lego Star Wars: The Holiday Special.
Yes, yeah. So that's loosely based off of the original Star Wars Holiday Special back from, was it 78?
Yeah, but much better.
Yeah, that was awful because they did a Wookiees Christmas party or something on that, didn't they? And it was horrendous.
I've got it. I've actually got it, and I watched 5 minutes of it and went, I cannot put myself through this. So I'm not. But I did watch the Lego one, and that was quite funny.
Good.
So yes, watch that. So all of that over the next few weeks. Plus, I think Mr. Case from Ministry is joining me soon to do Ghostbusters. That's meant to be next week. We've done Survivor Series 1990. That's going to be released in a couple of weeks as part of the tribute to that. 2001 Survivor Series. We released a 97 Survivor Series last week. Deep Space Nine Past Tense. Right, mate, we got a lot.
Unbelievable. Yeah, you gotta love it. And if this is the sort of if you like listening to stuff that is a warm blanket for you, if you want a comfort blanket to wrap around you, which is 80s and 90s TV and movies and pop culture, this is it. This has got everything for you. If you grew up sort of similar sort of era to Andy and I, and you like things like Ghostbusters, Back to the Future, the Goonies, all of these kind of 80s franchises, pro wrestling as well. We all got hooked around similar sort of time. This is definitely something that you can listen to back to back and just be in that comfort zone the whole time.
Absolutely. And also, I want to say a thank you to a member of your Discord group, which, bear with me for a minute.
Of course, I shall continue to Phil.
Please, Phil.
Yeah.
Who's Phil?
I don't know. Look at my wrestling figures. I have Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, and the Legion of Doom there, along with TNA Impact wrestling figures. There's no room for Sting, unfortunately. So I've got Kurt Angle, Samoa Joe, Superstar, and Jeff Jarrett. There you go.
So you need a bigger set.
I do need a bigger set.
Where are the rest of the figures?
They're in a bag down there. I was trying to just rearrange a bit. I wanted to display my Impact ones, but some of the Hasbros had to go. It's a work in progress. I need to make things a bit better.
Take the strap down and the WrestleMania 5 poster, and then put them in a display cabinet at the back.
That's a good idea. I mean, to be honest, the display, there isn't really room for a display cabinet if I'm going to sit in here. This is the problem. I mean, it's only like right here. It's not that far away. So I don't know. I need a bigger house.
I was trying to break the fourth wall.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There's loads of room behind me.
Yeah.
I mean, I could be on a sun lounger and still have room to spare.
We should really plan this better.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah. Right. On the Ministry of Slam Discord forum, if you haven't joined it yet, please join it, because it is a great community, 24 hours a day, some great conversations. I want to give a shout out to Dave Seth, who posted in the retro chats about a brand new toy and collectible store in New Milton, which is just outside of Dorset, and it's called the Space Bridge.
Okay.
Now, if you want to head over to there, you can do. It's the spacebridge.co.uk. They buy and they sell Star Wars, Transformers, Lego, MOTU, Turtles, Thundercats, Marvel, DC, Hot Toys, retro gaming, Sega, Nintendo, 80s stuff. Anything you can think about. And they're based out at Whitefield Road in New Milton. Contact them at contact@thespacebridge.co.uk or search for them on Facebook at the Space Bridge Store.
Wow. I'm looking at their website right now. Look at that. Yeah, that's amazing.
I'm planning a trip out there. So when I drive past Bournemouth, shall I pick you up?
That would be great. That would be amazing. I would love that. It's cartoon classics they're showing. And I can see on their website there are WWF Hasbro figures.
I knew that's going to get your attention.
Wow. I mean, it doesn't mention it in any of the kind of descriptions or anything, but there are definitely WWF Hasbros there. I need to go to this shop.
Yes, well, we'll arrange a time and we'll both go, because I will go without my wife and then I can buy stuff.
Sounds
die
good.
when I get home. And the last thing to mention, if you are in Weymouth and you are looking for true, authentic Italian-style pizza, then you need to go to our sponsor, which is Pizza Napoli, based in Weymouth Town Centre. They do everything from the very hot and spicy Etna to the Gorgonzola special. Check them out at pizzanapoli.co.uk for authentic Italian pizza-fired wood oven pizzas exclusively here in Weymouth.
Andy, now I want pizza. So you'll see me in 45 minutes. I'm coming down and we're going to get some pizza.
You should have come last night, mate. It was buy one, get one free.
Oh, no. I always do it wrong. Still, worthwhile paying full price for pizzas like that. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm hungry.
Proper Italian thin crust. Not Domino's thick, deep pan. Thin crust with the most fresh tasting toppings. Sponsoring the show tonight.
Unbelievable. Want pizza.
Order pizza. You've got some great ones in Bournemouth. Order pizza.
Yes.
Lee, thank you so much, my friend, for joining me, as
Very
always,
welcome.
tonight here on the Retro Chat podcast. It's always a pleasure to chat with you, especially talking about something like Streethawk. Give a shout out. Where can they listen to you or watch you now going forward?
They can listen to me or watch me. I mean, the main thing, as we mentioned earlier, was twitch.tv/the MOS network. We put some of our exclusive videos and some of our clips from the show on youtube.com/the MOS network. And also, as Andy mentioned earlier, if you're traveling around and you can't watch YouTube or Twitch in the car, or when you're traveling to work, check out the podcast anywhere, like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere you get your podcast. Just search for Ministry of Slam over there and you get all of the stuff, including what Ministry of Slam was doing 12 years ago, which involved Andy at the time. So there's some really good stuff. We were very junior I thought we were really evolved at that point, but we were very junior in our radio media careers. And it's interesting to listen to at times.
It's quite cringeworthy sometimes listening to what we were saying back in the day. I think my run is almost coming to an end though.
I think you've probably got about another 3-4 months, probably. I reckon 4 or 5 months potentially.
It's coming to an end, but I think Lawrence made his debut this past week, didn't he? Or was it the Vegas?
I think officially made their debut on, I think it was the first week of January. So we've got another sort of 6 weeks or so before that happens. But we introduced Voodoo Vegas's song "So Unkind" as the new theme tune for MOS at the time. So a little bit of history there.
What's it like for you? I mean, I've meant to ask you this, and we'll quickly cover this before we go off. You obviously have got all the archives. We play the Legends and Champions here on From the Vault, which is the first time that's been played in years. But what's it like for you hearing that old content? This
kind of two minds. In some ways, it does make me cringe, and I think, why did I say that? What was I doing? I was really not very grown up about that. And you and I have had off-air conversations about how we would have handled things very differently back in the day. But other than that, you think, wow, when was I ever that fiery? And you know, we managed to get all these guests and some of the questions you wouldn't dream of asking them now because you're so much more professional. And you know, it's an eye opener. I think that's probably the best way to sort of leave it. It's an eye opener. Can't remember a lot of it.
No, I can't. I can remember being at yours because we always used to tape it at yours, you know, always. And I think the only times I can really remember in detail is when you weren't there. And I had to kind of cover the show and do solos, and that was fun. But you know, it was very rare. All I remember is it was an amazing time to kind of like learn the ropes and do it. And we spoke to some amazing people, didn't we?
We did. We really did. And it was cutting edge back then. I mean, these days, everyone's got a podcast, 10 minutes and you can have your own podcast and have people listening to it. Back then, you had to put a bit of work in and the promotion and all of that. And we really stuck with it from, you know, what, 2005, 2006, all the way up to Ministry of Slam. And, you know, a lot of people followed us and knew who we were. And that sort of really set us off on a good footing.
And what is really heartwarming for me to see, and I don't think I've actually ever said this to you before, is the fact that since you've come back, some of those diehard TSC listeners, MOS listeners have come back as well.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, guys like The Franchise, guys like Mr. Priceless, Four Chords, who we know is somebody else now.
Yeah.
Who have just come back and followed you. And that you know, I obviously wasn't a part of it for a number of years, but for you, that must be really kind of heartwarming to know that they remembered who I am and they want to come back and they want to be part of this journey again.
Absolutely. I mean, it's one of those things where, you know, especially these days with the amount of options that are out there and you can listen for pretty much constantly 24/7 to actual legends of the professional wrestling industry talking about their experiences. For people to want to spend a couple of hours of their week just listening to me and Lawrence talking about wrestling, not because we've got any kind of authority over it, just our opinions and thoughts on it, that is really special. And after, you know, what, 15 years, that's really saying something.
Yeah. Well, keep it up, my friend. Keep it up. And thanks for wearing the hat.
Yeah, no problem. Yes.
I know you got grief for
yes,
not
I did get grief. Yeah. I mean, I've my girlfriend, there's been some admirers of my hair. So my girlfriend's told me to keep the hat on so no one can see my hair. And that's exclusive to the Retro Chat podcast. I will never admit to it on Ministry of Slam. I'm not going to say
Lawrence, I will clip that and I will send it to you to play.
I get glared at if I don't put the hat on.
I know. I felt really bad for you because we twitched out the mask episode before Ministry.
Yeah.
And then I listened into Ministry and the first thing he said was, why were you not wearing a hat? Why are you wearing a hat?
I was like, well, I keep that exclusively for Ministry of Slam, which apparently not anymore.
No. I don't mind. That's fine to follow back. Lee, mate, thank you so much. Stay with me for just a second. That's it for this week's edition of the Retro Chat podcast. Thank you for joining Lee and myself. Hope you've enjoyed talking all things Streethawk. As we said, we've got a lot more to come this month as we're approaching to the middle of November. If you want to get in contact with us here at the show, you can do. All the contact details are obviously down here. Facebook, Instagram, and Twitch at Retro Chat Podcast. Tweet us at Retro Chat Pod. Visit the YouTube at Retro Chat Podcast UK. A lot more content coming. But until then, all I can really say is, it's the wrong show. I was going to say live long and prosper, but that doesn't quite work.
No, hyperthrust cleared and counting. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Cue the sped up video.
Well, that didn't work.
What was supposed to happen there?
Well, you were still talking and the exit went on. So do that again. Let's do that again.
Okay.
Right?
So as a Streethawk would go up to 300 miles an hour, this is how it happened. Norman would say hyperthrust cleared and counting. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.